of creating a unified mindset among the entire population.
Television is a massive, massive mass hypnotist to the global mind. And what happens is it is implanting a belief in reality by the minute, and then once we take on that belief implanted, when information enters the eyes, we edit it on the basis of that belief. And so what the global population is subjected to, suffering from, is actually literally mass hypnosis. And when we talk about people who kind of start to see things and see the manipulation they couldn't see before, what do we say about them? What do they say about themselves? They say, I woke up. Exactly what they've done. When people start to go, hey, I can see it now, it's like someone has gone along, like the hypnotist, and clicked their fingers, and it's like, oh, I can see it now. Mass hypnosis. And that is the greatest hypnotist on the planet, and that's the basis of why it was created.
A 49-year-old unidentified man went berserk last night.
Where does she get her view of the world?
Shotgun. 14 people are dead, including 3
Who will be her role models?
Never been a better time to buy.
What values will she have? Whose child is she? Yours or the network's? Take back your children. Turn off the TV.
And when you start to research the subliminals in advertising and television, what staggers you is not what they do and what's there, but the scale of it. I mean, it's like our consciousness is being hit by an explosion of this stuff. Because you see, this is a very interesting point. Experiments have shown that about 1.5 seconds before the conscious mind decides to take action, move its arms or whatever, speak, 1.5 seconds before it consciously decides to do that, the electrical signals have begun in the brain to do it. For me, the conscious level is the experiencer and observer of reality, but the subconscious is the creator of it, the generator of it. And this is why the Illuminati want the subconscious mind through subliminals. What does subliminal mean? It means below threshold. It's below the threshold the conscious mind picks up, but the subconscious mind picks everything up like a sponge. And therefore they are planting these thoughts into the subconscious, which then filter down into the conscious, and we think we're having our own thoughts, when actually they're implanted thoughts done at a subliminal level.
If you think about it, whenever you hear news broadcasters speak, you realize that their speech pattern is similar to the pattern speech of a hypnotist. The news broadcaster looks directly into the camera and into the eyes of the viewer, another hypnotic technique.
Terror experts are working around the clock to head off any new attempt to attack America, and they're concerned that in the not-so-distant future, terrorists could easily blend in with the U.S. population. Bob Orr now on Al-Qaeda's latest tactics.
U.S. officials are increasingly worried that the next attack on America could be carried out by Americans trained in terror.
Report that will be released here in Washington tomorrow. It concludes that homegrown terrorism is on the rise in this country, and one of the most significant contributing factors remains the internet.
But my question for you is this, real quick, Rob. I heard that on the 17th of this month, George passed an executive order that says you can, if you protest the Iraqi war, you can have your assets.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry to cut you off. Balloontown, Connecticut.
Without these key elements in their history, the children were being socially engineered into another direction. So we've got several generations now where this kind of social engineering has perpetuated through the school systems. Fortunately, there are a number of people who became aware of this, particularly when Bill Bennett was the Secretary of Education and had said that every child in this country should be taught by a Jesuit. The Jesuits are the intelligence arm of the Vatican, and was very much corrupted into bringing what Adolf Hitler said was a way to mass mind control generations. It was Adolf Hitler who said that if there were any free thinkers left in society, he wasn't concerned because he had control of the minds of the children through the education system. That was something that I heard Bill Bennett quote himself in the application of the global education into the system. Been head of our Senate Appropriations Committee, which means that he decides how money is going to be spent, how it's going to be delegated, and he has made sure that more and more states' rights are lost in favor of federal intervention. And that was how global education was brought into the school systems as states' rights were overridden. Mark and I just returned from Europe, and like he was saying, we spoke in Germany, and that was quite an experience. And to see so many people who have been affected by mind control directly, who have seen it in their own families, who are acutely aware of what social engineering is in society. They know what's happening in the United States. They've been talking about it for years that I'm aware of, particularly on the education aspect, because it was exactly what Hitler had implemented, and they were recognizing it. They were also recognizing the erosion of our medical system and how we were becoming more and more financially dependent in this state, and losing more and more of our individual rights to information control. But the compassion of people not only in Germany, but all over the world where Mark and I have been speaking out is very encouraging. To go outside this country, it's like a whole new world. I mean, it's such a privilege to see that people are awake and aware. They know what mind control is. They know that mind control has a firm grip on America right now, that there is a criminal faction in control of our government that is seeking to control the world. And it's inexcusable that we continue to follow leaders that we didn't elect. We know that these people that are in place right now weren't elected. They keep taking the elections. Consider that the electronic voting machines were manufactured by a key corporation that's one of the among the very, very few that are actually controlling the media. They also manufactured our voting machines. And Dick Cheney is associated with that corporation, much the same way he is with Halliburton. At that time, George Romney was the governor of Michigan, and he was very much interested in taking a powerful form of mind control gleaned from the Catholics, taken from the CIA and the Hitler-Himmler research, and also into the technological advancements, and put it into his Mormon church. George Romney was very active and very high up in the Mormon church, and they could foresee that as a strong opportunity for being able to lead people in a religious way. People are easily led by a religion because they do want to do what God tells them to do, but the religion that they're being taught is outside themselves, when in fact the spirituality and relationship with God is within. And yet religion can pull people down a path outside themselves where they're more easily led and controlled, particularly when systematic abuses are going on and MK Ultra mind control and technological advances are being used as strong as they were in the Mormon church. That's not to say all Mormons are bad. There's quite a few Mormons who are standing up once they're able to think for themselves, to make a positive difference and stop the abuse in their churches as well. But that's a little bit slower. The devastation wreaked on people within the Mormon Church is extensive, and it's very much like the abuses that go on in the Jehovah's Witnesses church that has just come into light, where their mind control is so prevalent there as well. And every time where the mind control is prevalent, there's always abuse, and it's usually sexual abuse of the children. We need to become aware of how people are being led this way. When we have politics that have no separation of church and state, it allows for them to dictate or to provide the information through the churches on a political agenda as well. And it's a very dangerous and a very powerful combination, yet nevertheless is all moving towards the same goal of a mind control of the masses. In Mackinac Island, Michigan, I also heard George Romney talk about what is now known as global education, where bringing a form of mind control into the education system and altering the history, and also pumping information into the children's head at a rate to where they lose their ability to discern and to creatively utilize the information, but nevertheless it's just being pumped into their head, especially with the onset of computerization and harmonics coming through the headphones while they're sitting at some of those computers. The computers were also deliberately designed to alter the history that they were being taught, because it was believed that to control the future, all they needed to do was control the history. Again, alter that knowledge base so that when they do formulate any thought or action, it's based on something that's totally false or is something that's lacking key elements, such as mind control, such as what really went on in Nazi Germany. They knew how the mind responds to significant trauma. Combining the Hitler-Himmler research with what the Catholics had learned and taking it into a new level through the CIA and through the technological advancements that were beginning to come forth in society. We had television then, which was having a strong impact on people and gave them an ability to implement mass mind control far stronger than Adolf Hitler ever could do. And also through the music, because music was coming on so strong then, and it was learned how harmonics affect the brain function as well. It's like when you hear a specific song, and you can remember something that had happened the first time you ever heard that song. I've heard people say that quite often. Well, I remember what happened. Remember when we were in the car and the song came on, and remember how we fell in love to that song. I mean, people remember certain events with music because the harmonic vibration that affects the neuron pathways of the brain and allows for the song lyrics to go in deeper. So harmonics were coming on real strong as well. In the early 60s, Project Paperclip was in full swing. The Nazi and fascist scientists had been imported into the United States, were put into key positions, and information was gleaned from them on what Adolf Hitler was using as mind control in Nazi Germany. This Project Paperclip that brought the information in was being taken in by the CIA and a criminal faction of the government that was very much interested in how to control the mind of individuals as well as control the minds of a population more so than had occurred in Nazi Germany, because those people had actually broke free of the Hitler plan with the war, but yet the war was so traumatizing that it still left them unable to think for themselves, to the point